Il faut toujours revenir à
Always come back to the idea, what is your aspiration? In principle, someone who is on the path has aspirations towards what is good, what is beautiful, and what is true. That is the highest level. And at the same time, he has to look at his life. And when he looks at his life, he seems that he is constantly under three kinds of influences, actually four kinds of influences. Some influences from his physical body, some influences from his etheric body, some influences from his astral body, some influences from his ego, and some influences from his spirit. What is the physical body influenced by? It is influenced by what the eyes see, what the ears hear, and by everything that then translates into all the forms of relationship we have with one another. We are attracted to one, we are rather aversive to another, or to a situation. And that's a life that people take very seriously. This life, everyday events and everyday relationships which go through what we have lived through in childhood and up to now, and what we are consciously living. The question that arises is, how do we react to what is part of our physical perceptions? How do we react to what the physical machine perceives at the level of our senses, thoughts, and emotions? How do we react to that? Then there is something that has been shown a little bit by the psychology of the depths, psychoanalysts and all those people who reason about the life of the unconscious. The life of the unconscious is what is part of the etheric body. It is everything that constantly influences us without us knowing it. And that is related to the content of the unconscious memory of the etheric body, since you are not conscious of your etheric body. If you were conscious of your etheric body, you would see that everything that makes you react, everything that psychoanalysts discover, which they falsely analyze afterwards, but which they discover inside the human being, everything that has been lived since childhood, from childhood until now, and that constantly influences us, that makes our fears, our depression, things like that, that makes almost all our usual reaction, actually, in relation to people. So you undergo in your etheric body everything that is in it, but also everything that belongs to the level of the etheric body, i.e. the etheric body of others, because they are connected. The etheric body of others, the etheric body of the disease, all that is there, and it is there constantly, and that is why you can leave an empty chair here or an empty chair there, because there are presences all the time in your etheric body. There is constantly all that. And most people believe that they live freely, that their affinities to one or the other are free, and all that. In reality, obviously not at all. It is constantly influenced by the unconscious or the etheric body. So how do we react? Once we know that we are more attracted to one than the other, that we don't want to see either one, that we don't want to hear one theory over another, how do we react to that? Since one is not conscious of this at all, except for someone who becomes conscious of his etheric body and the flow of his energies that show him everything that is about here, how we are constantly influenced also by our relationship with the deceased, who are also constantly acting in our etheric body. It is this etheric world that is expanding. So what are we doing freely in this story? Still nothing. And then, if we look a little closer, we look at our soul, our astral body. What's in there?
Les âmes de nos ancêtres.
Our astral body contains many the souls of our ancestors. That's what we call entanglement. We're all made systemic. Entanglement is how other souls, other astral bodies, other such bodies are related to ours, in ours, entangled in ours, most of them influencing us positively and mainly influencing us negatively. That is to say, creating all the difficult situations in our lives.
Well,
that brings us to a very particular vision. Knowing that when somebody says something, does something, when you look at him, are you just looking at his physical attitude right now? What he thinks, what he says, what he does, the way he manifests himself, you just take it at the first degree, or you already take it at the etheric degree. You say to yourself, poor guy, influenced in childhood by all sorts of unconscious mechanisms. Even his neurosis that he manifests to me is due to, is due in part to the influence of his mother or his father who he missed, or they did something back to him, or something like that. You know what I mean? Are you watching this? And how do you react to that? Or are you seeing something a little deeper? You say, oh dear, I see him acting through his great-grandfather. He has exactly the same attitude. He's doing the same thing. He's behaving in the same way. Or his grandmother, or someone else who died and whom he knew, and with whom he's entangled. And such an unpleasant attitude he has comes from that entanglement. So how do we respond to that? And now, him, the one who is acting unpleasantly in front of me, what is he? When is it true? When can I really say he's the one acting? And not his great-grandfather, and not someone with whom he is etherically entangled in the energy of the person he is in, of all the other etheric influences he is undergoing, of the elemental beings, of the etheric entities. What is it? Well, you can't do anything of that at all. What can we do with it? Once you know that, once you have had that vision, at that moment, the only thing you can say to yourself when someone is unpleasant is, poor guy, he cannot do otherwise, because there will all that kind behind him. He's completely the puppet of these etheric forces, of these astral forces, which are continuously acting through him. He thinks he's free, obviously, but not at all. Well, still, he is unpleasant. But how do I react to that? Well, I'm forced to go back to my values. I'm trying to be real, to be good, and to make something good out of this situation. That's all that's left, nothing else. And the more real you get about the state of people, the more you're in that situation. I can't react to what they say or what they do or what they want me to do. I can't react to that because I know that it's a grandfather who's acting or it's an elemental being who's acting. I can't react to that. But I can have one line: truth, kindness, and beauty. That's all. The answer is always that. Which doesn't stop me from seeing what's really going on in life too. I'm a good observer, even I see everything. But I can't act or react based on that. Because it's that uninteresting as it gets. The first way of living, of thinking, of acting, of provoking negative situations or not. You can't react to that. You know what I mean? And one day, I have to decide. Starting to understand all this, I have to design a line for myself. And depending on my moral level and my personal evolution, I'll make the decision. I don't want to see them anymore because it's too complicated. or I stay on the physical level. Physical means intellectual center, emotional center, and center of instinct globally. I stay at that level, and my life is I eat, I sleep, the one who is pleasant with me, I'm pleasant with him, the one who is unpleasant, I send him away. You see, I compartmentalize. Everything, and I remain just a physical animal being. And most people, they only live at that level, the physical level. They claim that they know that the soul exists, or the spirit exists, or the energies exist. They claim that, but they don't live as if it exists. They live as if it doesn't exist because they live only in the first degrees of their education and their ordinary everyday life. The spiritual teaching says energies exist, souls exist, spirits exist, mind exists, but they exist in worlds, and these worlds exist, you see? And now what do we do? Well, we take an example and we try to apply it here and now, the principles that exist in this world and that are closest to what I really am. And we take the highest, kindness, beauty, truth, and we start applying them. We could also take two great principles of the astral world, which are stop judging according to what is attracting us or what is repelling us. We could also do that. It's one level down already. You see, since it's simply being reactive. The level above is making a decision of greatness. At the astral level, it was a spiritual level before. At the astral level, it is taking a decision already at the level of principles, which are secondary, but important all the same. And one could also make a resolution according to the etheric world. There, we would find ourselves in psychology, which says that yes, when someone is bad, it is because he himself is bad and that his father once beat him and his mother abandoned him. You see, that's the etheric level and the unconscious level of psychologists. We can also react according to that. Or on a physical level, again, there is just direct. I like it, I don't like it, it suits me, it doesn't suit me, it's over. You know what I'm saying? And then there are endless questions, depending on the level you're on. There are endless questions. Unless you are at the highest level, it's simple. You have a line and you apply it. You know what I mean. And that's where you have to look for the answer to questions like the one you ask. As long as you don't have the perception of your unconscious reality or your etheric body, as long as you are not aware of certain elements of your soul or your astral body or your spirit, what you want to do, you can't do anything. And you can react in one way or another, and depending on the level you are at, it will be right or wrong. It will be more or less right, more or less wrong, but there is nothing you can do about it. It's just the way it is. And that's the banality of life. And then there is the other level, the one I explained.